So I've wanted to put this video out, and I've recorded a few times and just haven't liked it. And it's going to be slightly longer than the shorts, but it's something that I've been thinking about for a few weeks now, and I just have been seeing it more and more. YouTube videos of people that I follow, bringing this topic up or things like that, and then just like recent events, which have been caused by people relating to doing these things. But anyways, it's that you really have to be careful who you take advice from. And it started for me back probably 15, 20 years ago with Charlie Sheen, and recently it made me realize that I really want to talk on it because I saw a Facebook post from somebody that I'm friends with on Facebook. And before I get into this, do me a favor, hit the like button, subscribe to the channel, do my best to provide the best value that I can. But it really helps me out. At least hit the like button. It's not that hard, and it helps me out, so you're doing me a favor. But anyways, I saw a Facebook post, and it's this woman who she listed the top 5 things that keep a healthy relationship or make a relationship last, or something like that. It's not important, but what is important is who this woman is and her track record. And she cheated on her husband with a man, and with this man, she cheated on him to be with the person that she's with now, the man that she's with now. And 6 months later, she's an expert on relationships. And it's just like, I was just dumbfounded. I'm like, well, it's a very well put together post, like very well structured as far as the way it's typed out. The things in there sound good, but I definitely disagreed with a couple of them. For instance, like, your past doesn't matter. Like, yeah, your past shapes you into who you are today, so your past definitely matters. Unless you have like a coming to Jesus or something, and I don't know, you completely throw away. I mean, your past matters, especially like your sexual history and stuff like that. But your past definitely matters, and that's one of the things. Like, you could disagree with me on that, you can agree with me on that, but that's something that I definitely disagree with. But it's how you vet, who you're with. It's one of the ways that you vet who you're with. But anyways, who you follow and who you take advice from is extremely important. I do these videos because I enjoy it. It helps me think, and I wouldn't do it if I didn't know that I know what I'm talking about. I have 18 years in business ownership experience. I've been involved in 7 businesses as far as ownership goes. 4 I've sold or moved on from, and each of those were better and bigger and producing more and making more money than when I got involved. And the 3 that I'm in now are about double what they were doing when I got involved. And so I've had experiences. I have had my sleepless nights. I've had my lessons. I've had my failures. I've had my successes. And I do know what I'm talking about. And do I know everything? No. There's people that I follow. You may disagree or agree with them. I mean, Elon Musk is the richest man in the world. He is definitely somebody to take advice from. Are there things that he does that people may disagree with? Sure, but you could leave those things. Marcus Lemonis, he's somebody that I follow because he does what I do and I want to continue to do and grow in on a much bigger scale. He's not he may be a camping expert, but it's not like he knows the ins and outs of an RV or a camper or a fifth wheel, every single aspect of them. He's not fixing the components of them when they go bad, but he's an expert in that business, and he has a publicly traded company, Camping World. And that's like me. I can't fix a car, but I know auto repair. I can't drive a tow truck, but we grew a towing company 400%. Things like that. Now I am a fitness expert. And that's, I was, owner operator and hiring other personal trainers, so I do know that, and that's one thing that I'll talk about is the fitness industry today. But yeah, you really got to vet who you're following and who you're taking advice from, and I'm going to give a few examples on things to stay away from and just a few tips on how to make sure you're following the right people and where to stay away from, which I'm sure you know a couple places. I didn't really want to talk about Charlie Kirk because I know people are taking advantage of this, but I think that's a good place to start. Is, I had a friend of mine, he reached out and said, you really got to be politically brainwashed, to a extreme level when you kill somebody for having a different political opinion than you. And yeah, it's totally true. And that's the first place that you definitely want to avoid is the news. Stay away from the news. It's extremely polarizing. They spin however they want. It's pretty much one bias across every news channel, except for maybe Fox News, which I think is actually more moderate than people think. They think it's like really right-wing, but I think it's actually really moderate. But there's no non-biased news. There's an agenda. It's an entertainment value. They have to get ratings, and it's really they're not giving the news anymore. They're giving you what they want you to hear in a way that can entertain you and get you addicted to watching the news. So definitely one place to stay away from. I wouldn't say stay away from social media, but it's definitely somewhere to be on your guard. Obviously, I'm on social media, and I consider myself a good source. But stay away from influencers. TikTok is probably the worst. You get like real estate advice. You get I remember there was this one guy on car parts saying, oh yeah, this one auto parts hack, and he's talking about buying used car parts and stuff like that and going to rockauto.com, and it's like, if you use those parts, you will frequently have to replace them again. And it's not good advice. They find this thing that may be something that may attract people's attention, and it's just not, I wouldn't even say half truths. It's probably like 10th truths, something like that. But TikTok is probably the worst. Twitter is probably the most financially one to be on, but that's why I like Twitter, because I'm not big on influencers and stuff and things like that. I'm not a big Kardashian fan. I actually despise them a little bit, but I have my own thoughts on that. But anyways, it's another place is definitely anything fitness related. Fitness industry is one of those things you don't know till you know. And it's like you learn it and you're like, oh my gosh, like that makes sense. Like that is extremely important, and it's not like a big thing. But I mean, I'm talking, the difference between lifting for endurance, size or hypertrophy, strength, power. There's a big difference. Training for speed and agility versus conditioning. There's a big difference. Things like that. What you're eating, what you're putting into your body, the timing on it, how your body digests it, what it does to your insulin levels, things like that. They matter. Nowadays people can go out and they can get a weekend certification with CrossFit, and all of a sudden you can go work at a gym and start training people and wonder why everybody's getting hurt that's working out with you. You get fitness influencers who, they've done bodybuilding or something like that, and they do what works for them, and it's hard regardless, but they're sticking all kinds of drugs into their body to give them a competitive advantage, which is the case in bodybuilding, unless you're in an all natural showing. But it is the case, and it's like not like they don't work hard and they don't eat semi properly, but people follow them and then they give them advice, and it's like you really don't know what you're talking about, but it's working for you because you have this competitive advantage that you're using. There's just all kinds of ways in the fitness industry, and it's like probably 80% give bad advice or advice that's incorrect. And it's really what kind of discouraged me a lot about the fitness industry, and I just kind of wanted to move on. And there's different things, and this really portrays to everything that I'm trying to talk about, is being extremely picky about who you take advice from. I mean, the difference between endurance being, 15 reps or more, 30-second rest breaks, 2 to 3 sets, whereas like hypertrophy is 6 to 12 reps, how slow you're moving on the eccentric phase, which is the downward phase, 60 to 90-second rest breaks. Like, your body is going to react differently. You have energy systems, phosphagen, creatine inside that recover at different rates that require you to take these rest breaks. Speed and agility versus conditioning. I was getting hired for this company as an independent contractor, so I could charge whatever I want to run some classes, some athlete classes there, and they're doing a speed and agility class, and they're just, everybody's out of breath, and it's just like, oh, you finish a sprint, you get back, you do it again, even though you don't have the proper recovery. When you're working with power or sprinting, you want a 5-to-1 rest to work ratio. That means if you're sprinting for 10 seconds at full effort, you need to take 50 seconds rest. And that allows your body to recover and your muscles to recover in a way that allows you to perform at full output, which is the muscle fibers, the type 2B fibers that you're using. Anyways, I don't want to get too far into like fitness, but that's just an example of like, everything sounds right and you think you're doing things because people have done them the way that they're doing them, but you don't know till you know, and you're getting bad advice without even knowing it. TED Talks are another one to avoid. You might be surprised at this one, but they need to fill their schedule with speakers, and it's not a extremely picky qualification. I mean, if you've had some success, you could speak. There's things you could take, but I stopped listening to TED Talks because I've heard them and I'm like, wow, that would not be advice. I think it would be counterintuitive to take this advice from this person. That is bad advice. And it's motivational, and it sounds good, and that's the thing, is like, things sound good, but they're not right, and they're bad advice. And I say my opinion, but it's like, I know it's bad advice. I'm like, I would never give that person that advice, and it would never help them grow into their potential and their purpose. But yeah, TED Talks are not a great one. You might get like one out of every 10 or 20 that is going to help you become better if you follow their their speeches. But anyways, TED Talks, personal trainers, stay off the news. Don't follow celebrities like movie stars, athletes. Hollywood is good at acting. That's what they're good at. Generally not very logical or intelligent people. Athletes, same thing. I mean, the whole thing with me, I'm not trying to be offensive, but LeBron James and the whole police, defund the police. It's like, oh, are you gonna suit up and become a police chief and show us how it's done and show us how to stay alive in a dangerous situation? Because it's not that easy. And honestly, everybody does the best they could, and they're doing trainings, in the way that they can, best way that they can to do things in the proper way. Celebrities, they give political advice all the time, and it's like, they're out of touch. I remember during COVID, it was like Morgan Freeman's like, stay home. It's like, these people, like, we don't have the luxury of staying home. Most people are paycheck to paycheck. They have to go to work or they cannot survive. They can't just stay home. So, it seems simple to you. Yeah, just stay home. It's not that simple. If we stay home, if people who are living paycheck to paycheck stay home, they lose their entire life that they've worked to build. So just being out of touch and not having, having a different lifestyle. I mean, very fortunate. I'm not saying people didn't work hard to get where they are. They didn't take the chances that are necessary to take to get to where they are, but it's just not good people to follow. I think Charlie Sheen's a good example of people following a celebrity, idolizing and glorifying people, like basically turning them into gods. Like, look at, this is what people do with athletes, but it's like we turn these people into superhuman, you know, above human, and it's just not something that's healthy for somebody to do, and it's not healthy for the person you're doing it to. They feel like they're bigger than the world. They feel like they're bigger than what this whole world is, and you know, you think that you're lesser, and you know, they're really just people. They may be born with, like, you know, genetics that fit what they're doing a little better. They may be, you know, have found their niche a little sooner, or found a market or niche that it's just, you know, I mean, LeBron James does a Sprite commercial and people drink Sprite. It's like people hire athletes and celebrities to be in commercials for a reason, you know, and it works subconsciously. And it's like, why am I drinking this? Why am I buying this? Why am I driving this car? Why am I buying this snack? I mean, these food companies, you know, like Kellogg's and whatnot, they were pushing fiber for a while. It's like, well, here's how much fiber you need, you know, or like protein. Like, protein's a big push, and yeah, it's important, you know, but they're pushing it for energy when protein's not a good source of energy. Or protein in something that's more of like a fat, like peanut butter or nuts. Oh, good source of protein. Yeah, it has protein. It's an incomplete protein, but it has protein, but it's primarily a fat. So, you know, I think you get where I'm going with this and why I wanted to share this. And it was with that Facebook post, and it started with Charlie Sheen back in the day. You know, he had like really catchy, you know, entertaining things about him, like, oh, I drink tiger's blood or whatnot, or, you know, everybody would go around saying winning, you know, or, you know, I'll jump back to this, but the Bud Light commercial, you know, with the what's up, like everybody started mimicking that. And it's just like, we have brains and we intake information and things catch, and we want to feel part of a whole. But like, back to Charlie Sheen, it's like grown adults mimicking a coke addict that's banging prostitutes, probably getting STDs and stuff like that. I think he was just on the Joe Rogan show recently, but it's funny like how things tie together in the universe. But I mean, that's not going to keep you on your purpose, following trends that don't serve you. And I think at the end of it, and where I'll end this video, since I'm coming up on 20 minutes and I like to keep things a little shorter, but you really have to be careful who you take advice from and who you follow. When you're watching television, after 60 seconds, you can only take in information. So it's a one-way communication. So whatever they're wanting you to hear is what you're going to absorb. And, you know, this shooter, you know, definitely, I mean, for real, what is Charlie Kirk? He's a very good debater, but he tries and use facts to debate, and he has calm, open debates with people who oppose his views. So it can be controversial, but like, I've never seen him really yell, you know, or anything like that. And this person wanted to kill him and succeeded in that. Most likely for being politically brainwashed by choosing who to follow. Probably news sources and certain, you know, parts of social media. But in your business life, in your personal life, I mean, I think there's three tenets, right? Your mental, your spiritual, and your physical, you know, in ways to grow. And every aspect, you got to be extremely picky and extremely aware of who you are taking advice from. And that Facebook post kind of, you know, I was like, wow, this looks really good, and people are probably going to listen to these people because they're two very well-versed, like good-looking individuals, the wife and the husband, you know, not the husband, the boyfriend, sorry, for now. But anyways, it's like, it's bad advice. It's like, and I'm not just saying that one thing about like your past doesn't matter, but there was 4 other ones. But it's like, consider the source. This woman's a train wreck, and she's given relationship advice when she's had no success in relationships, and everyone has ended in betrayal, and people are going to follow her because she's extremely attractive and at the moment feeling the honeymoon phase of being happy and whatnot. But anyways, I'll stop rambling, and we're at about 20 minutes. Do me a favor, if you made it this long, hit the like button, hit the subscribe button. I've been wanting to do this, and I've put out, like, I've recorded 3 or 4 videos. I have my HD camera, my computer camera and my microphone, and I can't get the lighting right in my office. And I recorded a few other ones. They ended up not being what I wanted, so I figured I'd just talk. I don't like to edit, so I'd just talk and I'd talk about it, but I think it's extremely important. Let me know what you think in the comments. If you made it this long, if you agree, disagree, what you think on this topic, what you think about the Charlie Kirk situation, and other aspects, like who do you follow? I'd love to learn. I'm listening to audiobooks and podcasts all the time. Once in a while I'll listen to music when I'm just kind of a little overloaded, but let me know. But hit the like button, subscribe to the channel, and let's create some more conversation that help us grow and get us to our purpose. So we'll see you next time. Have a good one. Have a good weekend.